Top of the day to you. I'm Torden, and this is Advanced Voxelmancy 205, Tetras, a meeting of the Inclines. So the first piece of information, of course, is what is a tetra? In this case, it is an abbreviation for tetrahedron, which is a triangular pyramid, all right, which means it's got four triangular sides. For our purposes here, it's also important to note that that means that it has 1, 2, 3, 4 vertices that define its shape. But of course, it's important to remember that voxels have 8. So the real question becomes, where do we put the other 4? And the answer is it's not always the same answer. But the tetrahedron that we want to use frequently will define itself. I'm pretty sure I'm going to do this entire video with just one reactor. In this case, we're just going to grab our corner. Now, of course, depending on what you're doing, different reactors are necessary, different shapes are necessary, different forms of triangles. But for the sake of this demo, I think we're just going to use our corner. All right. So the first thing I want to do is build a slope, because what we're going to do is combine two slopes. So let's build a slope, and we're going to build a simple 45-degree slope. The easiest way to do this, we can do a whole bunch of cutting and pasting, but it's worth demoing here. Let's say if I were to use the place voxel tool and hit the E key a couple of times till I get to the slope wedge that they provide for us. I'm going to go up into the air and drop that in the air there. All right. Now, if I were to drop a reactor around this, you will see that there's something about this particular wedge that I'm actually not terribly fond of. And that is that they put two of the vertices in the middle of the slope right here. But that's mathematically imprecise because the way that this scheme handles vertices and their locations, you can't actually get to the exact center, which means that this actually has a little tiny bump in it right there in the middle. Also, for the sake of this particular tutorial, this turns out to be not the best shape to work with, so I'm going to replace these two vertices with this one right here. I'm going to rotate this a couple of times and push it in. So I'm going to move this vertice. I just shift-clicked on that and move the vertice down there to the bottom. Go ahead and invert that along that plane, and shift-click that again, moving that vertice down there. So now our slope is nice and straight. We've moved the vertice down to meet these bottom two corners right here, and we're going to work with this slope right here. All right. Now, if I place this in the air, one up a couple there, and let's do this one this way, push it in from the side here, so we can just drop a few of them in the air. So we're going to just drop 4 of these right here in the air. All right. Now it's important to note that I push these two corners down to this bottom edge, right, this bottom corner right here, as opposed to up top. All right. If you're following along, this is an important distinction. It's an important distinction because of how I'm going to form the tetra. So we're going to go ahead and place another one right here. So now we've got our two slopes, right? These can extend out in, this direction, etc. If we wanted them to, we could fill in the backside if we wanted to, etc. Right? But we have our basic two slopes right here. Now, if I were to take a block and set it right here, all right, it'll go ahead and put a shape right here. And what it did is it took the top two corners and it pushed them down. Remember I mentioned that I was moving those bottom 2 points right over here, right? So because I'm placing it here, it inherits that location and it pushes these top 2 corners, this one here and this one here, down to meet that. All right. Well, that gets us a decent chunk of the way to our tetrahedron. If I go ahead and place this in the 1, 2 there, all right, and we'll go ahead and place our reactor around it so we can see what's going on. And you'll see that the two corners there did in fact get pushed down to meet. Now, that leaves us two corners we have to figure out what we're doing with. All right? This orange one right here and this light orange one right here. We need to move them someplace. Well, for the top orange one, the place that makes the most sense is where the black one is. All right? So we're going to go ahead and move that. I'm just going to grab this here. And I'm pretty sure I can do this without any distortions. Just shift click that in. Oh, it did move that one. So the solution to this problem, there's a bug right now in the game where if you copy something here, it might pick up some data from some surrounding vertices. So if the solution for this problem is you place it in the air right here all by its lonesome, so it has no surrounding vertices, and then copy it back out again. And we'll go ahead and do it now. Right, now it just moved the one. All right, so we've just pushed that vertice. And then the question is, what do we do with the light orange one? And for our purposes here, I mean, there's really only two logical places, right? We can move it over to this one right here, so it matches this spot, or we can move it so it matches this spot over here. And we kind of just have to pick one, right? I'm going to pick, let's see, I'm going to copy this here. Rotate this way. And invert it along this plane. Like that. And then go ahead and place that like that. All right. So now we have moved this vertice over to that corner. And so what we've done is displace four corners. Remember, we have 8 for our voxel, but a tetrahedron has 4 planes and 4 points, 4 vertices that matter. So we need to move 4 of them and have them exist someplace where the other one is. So we've moved these 2 down. We've moved this one over to the top point, which makes some sense. And then we have to pick one side or the other over here. All right. And we now have a tetrahedron. We have 4 different triangles. 3 of them are right triangles. At the bottom is a right triangle, and on each of these 2 sides, and then we have an isosceles triangle here on the slope. Right. If we copy this and come over here, and again, remembering that we're going to be shift clicking this, place it in the air by itself, cut it back out again. I'm going to shift click this in here. And there is our first piece to this puzzle. All right. If I go down here, and come up to there, I can now get one there, and one there, and one there, and one there. We go up one more. And when we place one here, what's going to happen is it's forcing the one below it to pull some vertices over. Ignore the highlighting shadows right here. They will drop out when the mesh server picks it up. So I can drop out of build mode here, wait patiently for the mesh server to catch up, and this should go all white. Might take a moment or 3. If we don't like the way the shadows are falling, you can actually switch which corner this one right here is, and likely get rid of those shadows. See, it went white over there. If I were to grab this one here instead. Just waiting for the server to catch up with me. Again, I was at the top, so I could do this. Rotate this way and replace this, and that's going to move the corner to the other side, right? So you can pick and choose your sides right here. All right, but now we have filled in our slope right here with a really nice smooth slope. So that's how to build a nice clean tetrahedron and how to utilize it to connect to slopes. Now if you were doing a different shape, this corner, for instance, might move, right? Or this corner right here might move. Because I've got this slope. But if I were to change this slope to be something else, the principle remains the same. I'm just changing where my corners are. The real trick is just to find out the corners that meet our slopes and then move the other corners, the abandoned corners, as they were to the same location as some of our existing ones. It will form a tetrahedron of some form, and then we can replicate that down our slope. All right. So this has been Advanced Voxelmancy 205 Tetrahedrous, and if you like what you're seeing here, and you'd like to help support it, please follow us on here on YouTube, or come visit us on our Twitch channel. I Twitch stream every Friday night, pretty much at 0200 UTC. Also, if you're interested and you're able, and you'd like to help maintain these sort of things, give me more opportunities to create streams, I do accept PayPal and Patreon donations. If you go to youtube.com/c/Torden, in the banner page up there at the top, you will see links to how to reach me on Discord, and additionally links to both Patreon and PayPal. Thank you very much, and look forward to seeing you next time.